Listen all and listen well. We have a story to tell about a bear with his backpack and bird, a witch named Grunty who is quite absurd. She rhymes and rhymes all the time, yet she never quite loses her mind. It's one of my favorite parts about the game, even if it does drive other people insane. Konnichiwa, Mina-san. As you can probably guess from that lovely poem that I wrote in like 5 minutes, we are talking about Banjo-Kazooie today. And joining me today we have Parrott
Hello, hello.
and Connor.
Hello. That was quite excellent.
That was a beautiful poem.
I figured I would do that because, of course, Banjo-Kazooie is all about Grunty throwing rhymes the whole time. Do you guys remember any of her particular rhymes? Because I do not.
Yeah, I wrote down a few that I really liked as I was playing when I replayed it this time.
Well, let's hear them.
I'm still here. I watch you play, but I can't think of much to say. That was one that popped up later on in the game, and I was like, you know what? They tried. They came up with a lot, and it's just like sometimes you just need a few lines, and it got the point across. Another one I wrote down that I really liked is in one of the parts that always stressed me out when I would play this game, when you turn the game off and it shows the cutscene
Oh, yeah,
of
the
you
game over.
losing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're forcing Banjo's sister into the machine, and
Oh,
Grunty
yeah.
says, "Don't scratch and fight, little bear. You'll soon need bigger underwear."
Oh, yeah. I got one that I couldn't find again when I looked up all her quotes, but I swear I saw it and then tried to remember it and wrote it in the Discord. It was something like, Grunty admits that she's a hog. She could really go for a big hot dog.
Yes, I wrote that one down too. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's not on the wiki. I was like, okay.
A little bit potentially suggestive there. It's a little like, whoa.
They were warming up for Conquer is what they were doing.
Oh yeah, you totally can tell that this is the same studio that would later go on to make Conquer at this point.
My filthy bed gives me a rash. I never wash. I save my cash.
Good economic choice there, I guess, for Grunty. I don't like her sister actually, like Brentilda, because all she does is just like bash her the whole time. It's like you're a terrible sister.
She's just sitting there giving you the information for the quiz later. I picked up on that immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's just, she should be more accepting of her sister. Who cares if she's evil?
yeah.
You're supposed to love your family no matter what. Instead, she's like hiding in like, little alleys and behind buildings telling you things that like her sister brushes her teeth with salted slug toothpaste.
Totally gives that, like, I don't know, Mean Girls, Gossip Girl kind of
Mm-hmm.
behavior.
Yep. All right, so I think how we're going to start this off is we're going to talk about our history with Banjo, like when we first played it, and then just kind of give a little recap. And we're going to save Connor for last because believe it or not, this is the first time that he played this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't we start with Parrot? Why don't you tell us what your history of the game is?
Yeah, so when I was little, when I was in like, before elementary school or in elementary school, we borrowed an N64 from my uncle because I didn't really have any video game consoles of my own until GameCube, like a few years later. So we borrowed his N64 for every once in a while we would do that. And he had Banjo Kazooie as one of his few games that he would give me. So I have a lot of memories of just running around in it, mostly just the first few worlds. Like I would start the game, run around the hub world, the Spiral Mountain, and then go into the Grunty area probably after like hours of work because I was probably so terrible at it. And then I remember playing Mumbo's Mountain and then getting to the second level, the Treasure Trove Cove, and I never ever could make it past that. And then he had his save file on there, so I would jump into his save and try some of the later levels, and I would just die constantly because I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, at least you didn't delete his save like Delufus's nephew did.
Yeah. Luckily, I did not do that to him. So I always really liked the game, but those were my early memories of it. And then in high school, I had an Xbox 360, and I bought the Xbox 360 port of the game. And that was the first time that I really played it and actually made it all the way through the game 100%. So as a kid, it was always a game that intrigued me. And then when I got to high school, it became like one of my favorite games ever.
Nice. Yeah, so for me, my story is a little similar, but I actually did own a Nintendo 64, And I was smart enough to actually, when I went to, I think it was EB Games at the time, because I don't remember, because it was Funko Land for me at first, then it was EB Games, then it was GameStop. But I'm pretty sure it was EB Games. I was just looking around in there for a game, and I saw the cover, or the box for Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. It looks fun. It's a really good box art. And speaking of that, I actually do own the complete in box of Banjo-Kazooie on N64, and just the cartridge itself. That shows you how much I really do like the game.
Very nice.
But yeah, I did play it as a little, but kind of like you, Parrot. I didn't ever get very far. I don't think I ever made it. I made it a little further than you. I think I made it to Mad Monster Mansion, but I don't remember. I must have got stuck after that and couldn't figure out how to get to Rusty Bucket Bay or Click Clock Woods. So I never really beat it or anything.
That was a trickier part.
Yeah, because it's kind of confusing at one part where to go, even if you do get all the puzzle pieces. But anyway, then I ended up getting the 360 version as well, and that's when I first 100%ed it. And then I played it again when it came to Switch, the online last year. I had 100%ed it, which I did on the 360 too. So, but yeah, I definitely have played it. Probably I've 100%ed it at least 3 times now, I think.
Very nice. I think I've counting when I just did it for the show. I think I also have done it 3 times. I remember doing it in high school, and I did it one more time in college, and then now I just did it last week.
Nice. Yeah, it's not. It only takes like 7 to 10 hours maybe to do it if you know what you're doing. So it's not too bad compared to some others like DK64, which we'll be playing next. So
Yeah, my final 100% time was only 6 hours 40 minutes, and honestly, a large chunk of that was at the end. The Click Clock Wood section took me over an hour alone.
all right, Connor. Yeah, do you want to tell us about? So this was your first experience with it. Did you 100% it as well?
No, I definitely did not go for the 100%. And that took me about 10 and a half hours to get through, which I'm just now having a somewhat tangential thought that 10 hours was how long it took me to nearly 100% Mass Effect 1 last time I played, which is just.
That's insane.
I've played through that game like 12 times. So that little perspective there is a little funny, just how much less experienced I am with these 3D platformers.
So did you hear anything about? Did you know much about Banjo before you played it? Did you hear? Well, you did. Oh,
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely knew about Banjo. Back when I was like 3 or 4 when we first got a Nintendo 64. One of the first games we got was Banjo-Tooie. That was my Nintendo 64 game. That was the one I spent all my time on. It had the multiplayer component, so I was on that all the time. But the original always kind of eluded me since I didn't know a whole lot of people with Nintendo 64s at the time, and well, we had Tui, so Dad's doing the budgeting in his head. Why go back to the old one when you got the new one?
Mm-hmm.
And so the only times I ever touched Kazooie before was at like the McDonald's play centers, if it was ever there.
That brings me back. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah. I always think about those.
See, we had like the ones in Walmart, like we had the little sample games because I remember playing Donkey Kong 64 so much on that thing when it was coming out.
Smash Bros. That was a good one. And Mario Party at the McDonald's. Those were some prime gaming real estate.
Nice.
But yeah, I was always intending to get to this one eventually, and now I finally have.
All right, well, we'll hear your full thoughts later then once we get to it. I'm pretty sure everybody can figure out what Parrot and I think of the game already, so.
Just a little bit on the positive side. Maybe like a, what, 7 out of 10?
Maybe a little higher. We'll see.
It's at least a 1.
Yeah. Looking at my desk, I have 3 or 4 Banjo figures on it as decorations, so
yeah,
kind of tells you everything.
All right, so I think what we're going to do is just kind of go through the game world by world and just kind of the story. There's really not much involved. Pretty much it starts out Gruntilda asks her the pot. What's his name? Do you guys remember?
Dingpot.
Dingpot, that's it. So yeah, she's talking to Dingpot about who's the prettiest in the land. And they're like, "Oh, of course." He's like, "Of course, it's you." And then he's like, "Well, wait, there's this other character named Tui who is more the cutest, I would say, of all." And she's like, "Well, this is crazy. I got to go out and kidnap her." And kind of like how we talked about before, she wants to put her in the machine and take her beauty from her and give it to herself.
Such a funny premise.
Just Snow
Yeah,
White.
pretty much Snow
Very
White right
classic.
here. Except she does succeed in kidnapping her because Tui tries to get Banjo to help her, but Banjo's sleeping and Kazooie's stuck in the backpack on the coat rack. So there's not much they can do, or Kazooie can do, I should say.
That was a pretty funny setup. It's like, ah, could have done so. He's just sleeping. It's
Yeah.
very fairy tale esque.
But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it right there. You just go through, then he wakes up, and then you run out and you run into one of the main characters, Bottles, the mole.
I love Bottles of Mole. I also really love just how him and Kazooie are always harassing each other in the dialogue.
Yep.
It seems like they both like and respect Banjo, but then they just tolerate each other but antagonizing each other constantly.
Just going at each
Like,
other.
Goggle boy.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah, the dialogue is really funny, and of course, it's just all a bunch of blah, 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 blah.
It has a really nice touch. I mean, obviously, I figured this out, but if you hold the button to speed him up
Yeah.
talking, it
Yep.
actually has a different pitch, which I just think is a really nice touch.
Which, of course, you and I know.
Oh yeah, because I'm like zoom, zoom, zoom. One of the thing that's actually another in this section, there's another really nice small touch. When you come out of the house, you talk to Bottles, like Straw said, and then he's like, "Okay, do you want me to teach you how to play the game?"
Yep.
And if if you say yes, then you have to go around and learn all the tutorial moves, like the basic move set. But if you say no, he just gives you all the moves and you're just free to go. If you try to talk to him at any of his molehills, he's like, "You said you didn't need my help, so I'm not going to tell you." And then you just pretty much just have to figure it out on your own.
Nice. I was actually very surprised to see that they had an optional tutorial back then. That was something, especially in a kind of dynamic map like that, where it wasn't just like a menu that you skipped. It was actually an in-game one. I was very impressed to see that.
Yeah, and it is a brilliant way to start the game because you can pretty much just explore the area and learn the moves as you see the molehills, because the molehills are how you learn moves in this game. So it's just a great way to kind of get you warmed up, and it's just fun to explore around. Like Parrott said, he spent hours when he was younger in that world. So
Yeah,
And
I just love that song too, and that's probably one of my favorite songs in the
yeah,
game. Just the Spiral Mountain theme.
yeah, and even I'm super familiar with that little Spiral Mountain area because back when I was playing Banjo-Tooie, it took me months, considering the fact that I was about 3 or 4 years old, to even get out of that zone.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, that's in that game too. But then you can't go inside the Grunty's
No,
lair.
it's a little
yeah.
more complex.
Now I'm thinking if you do skip the tutorials, though, I don't think you can get all the honeycomb pieces.
They're all still there. You just have to go do them without being told how to get them.
Okay, I wondered
That's
about
what I
that.
did. Yeah, that's what I also really like about that because it is a nice like microcosm of the basics of the game. It's just the structure of the Spiral Mountain is like the other levels because most of the levels have a large central structure and then zones around it. So
Hmm.
Spiral Mountain is set up exactly the same, just smaller. And there's an area every part of the map is just an area to teach you how to use one of the basic moves, and then you also get rewarded for doing the tutorial with all this honeycomb pieces,
Hmm.
which I believe there's just enough to get you one extra hit.
Yeah, and that's basically if you collect. There's usually 2 honeycomb pieces in each world, and if you collect them enough of them, you get an extra hit piece, like or hit point, like Parrot said.
Those are the collectibles that I missed the most.
They're tough.
Those are the only ones in my playthrough this time that I actually had to look up and like, where was this again? I don't
Yeah, they're
remember.
pretty obscure in a good way.
Hmm.
Like some of them I remembered, and then some of them I just naturally found. But that is one of those things that I did not remember where they were.
Yeah, I remember I struggled with a few of them as well. But then after you complete that, you get to enter Gruntilda's lair, which I think might be my favorite hub world of all time for a 3D platformer. It's so good.
Yeah, I just love how dynamic it seems. Like every single room just looks totally different, and is all interconnecting with each other.
And once again, the music's just like dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun
And
dun.
it does like the little touch that I love is that when you're in different spots of Grunty's lair, it's the same song but with different instruments
Yes.
Yes.
or slightly different because you're in the next to the Treasure Trove Cove or you're near the Clinker's Cavern. So
Yep.
it's all like the same song but just slightly different.
It's reminded me so much of Little Big Planet retroactively because Little Big Planet was like the same thing I really loved in it is that it had that dynamic music system where even if you're doing the level editor, you can go orchestrate it yourself to take out different channels based on the situation. So you could have this energetic song kind of die down into something a little bit quieter, and then all the voice ducking as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's one of those things I definitely forgot about until I was replaying it. And it's like even in every level it does it where the song is slightly different if you go under the water or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah, definitely love the music. That was for sure.
And I feel like it easily takes you wherever you need to go. Like it's pretty easy to find things, and I think it does it perfectly, at least until near the end when you have to worry about the water levels. I always hate that part, trying to
Yeah.
figure
Yep.
out how to raise it and where to go.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the hub world as expansive as it was because that was one thing I didn't expect it to be more toned down coming from Tui. I gotta say though, I got lost and had to go back and forth so much in there.
I bet because a lot of it is just I remember from playing it quite a
Yeah.
few times, but it can get I feel like the beginning it's not very confusing,
No,
but once it gets to a certain point where it like opens up when you get to the Freeze Easy Peak area, that's like it kind of just goes in a lot of directions.
that's exactly when I started getting lost.
And then you have to like
Hmm.
find the jiggy pad to be able to open up the click clock wood.
Yeah, the paintings.
So
Yep,
yeah, that's a point where it starts to get a little confusing, and that's when you're also starting to finally use like the magic cauldrons to teleport around.
Yep. I feel like I can never find Rusty Bucket Bay's painting picture every time.
that's I had to look that one up, and it still took me a bit to figure it out.
Already don't remember where is that one.
You have to it's the first time that the hub world, and this is one of my this is actually one of my more like kind of consistent complaints of the game. It's the first time that you have to get changed into a pumpkin by Mumbo, then leave the world, which I had no idea was a thing you could even do
Ooh.
until I accidentally did it.
So yeah, I remember now. So that is the first time you have to do it, but it is not the first time you do it, which we will talk about because every level where you transform, you end up doing that, I believe.
Yes, you're right.
I didn't do it until then.
That's funny because yeah, we'll talk about it right away
Yep.
because so basically what we're gonna do is we did a rating top 9 because there isn't 10 worlds, but we had everybody in Discord who wanted to participate send us their rankings of all the worlds, and we had 10 people participate. So we got a nice little list here, and it worked out good because we each voted 3 higher than the other two, 3 of the worlds. So we're each going to kind of specialize on the ones we voted higher. Now, we're not going to do the list in order. We're going to do order of by the worlds that they are just to not be as confusing. And then at the end I will give the full list again just to make sure that you guys know the actual rankings.
So, order of appearance instead of order of ranking.
Yes. Exactly. We won't do that very often, but we just thought it made more sense for to do it for this type of game. So the first world you go to is Mumbo Mountain, which ended up being the 5th ranked on our list, which was funny because it was definitely ranked in the middle the most of any other world. So it's fitting that it ended up in the middle of the rankings. And I was the one who voted it highest. I had it 4th on my list. Parrott had it 6th. Well, Connor had it 9th. So it was his least favorite world.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mumbo Mountain is the first world you go to, and I just really like this world. I think it's a good opening world. It's small. You can pretty much see the whole thing, and I have it memorized, which might be a little unfair to compare it because I just know exactly where to go, what to do, But I pretty much always go to the left and deal with Congo right away because he's throwing his oranges at you. And then you can get the orange for the little chimpy. And then you can go up and hit the switch, and then you get the egg shooter, where you can shoot eggs out. And then you pretty much also go up top from there, and that's where I get Talon Trot, which is arguably the best move in the game because it makes you go so fast.
Certifiably the best move in the game. Anything that makes you move faster is
Yep.
instantly my favorite.
Yep. I love this stage because it's really just the second half of the tutorial. Like Spiral Mountain is teaching you the basics of the mechanics of jumping around. And then this level gives you the most important moves, I would say, with the Talon Trot and the egg shooting. And then
Mhm.
it also is the level where they teach you about all the different collectibles, which is actually the main focus of the game.
Yeah, because you have Jinjos, which there's 5 in every world that you got to collect, which gets you a Jiggy, which is pretty much the power star of the game. That's what you need to put in the different pictures. And then you also have 100 music notes in every world that you need to collect to open note doors later in the hub world.
And then the 2 empty honeycombs per level, like we said, to increase your health bar. And then you're also looking for the Mumbo tokens because this is also the first world where you have a transformation.
Yes, and the transformations are really fun. That was something that was really unique, I thought. One of my favorite parts when I was a kid, because the first world you get to turn into an ant or termite. I'm not really sure which one, but
Termite,
termite. All right.
which is a fine distinction.
Yeah. But yeah, you turn into that so you can crawl up. And it's funny, Connor, because if you take it outside of the world, you can climb up the top of where you enter the world as the termite.
Right, because that's the other quote unquote collectibles. Every stage has a grunty switch, which makes a
Yep.
Jiggy appear in the hub world. So there's 10 Jiggies in the grunty's lair for the 10, or there 9. No, there are 10 in there. So I actually don't remember how you get the other one, but every stage has a grunty switch that makes one appear there.
Yeah. I avoided doing any sort of guides until I absolutely was like stuck. So I did not get that switch because I forgot I could like butt slam or whatever
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
that early on. And so also I didn't get the termite I didn't get that Jiggy until I had already gotten to the final boss fight because I needed like
Oh,
3 more Jiggies to complete a puzzle, even though yeah, I'll talk more on that later, but I got that at the very end of the game.
That's funny.
interesting.
So the way I went about it, I have played it before, but I just went 10 Jiggies. I did 100%
Yep.
each world as I went, except for one situation, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, because you can't,
Yep.
which always annoys me,
Only
but
time you can't.
yep, only once. So the one thing that always gets me in this world, I did remember this time when I was playing it, but when you shoot the totems, you have to leave the last one so you can jump up and get the honeycomb piece.
Yep. Yep.
Oh.
That
I
gets me
didn't do
every
that.
I always forget because you just want to do it to get the Jiggy. Which do you guys have a favorite Jiggy from this world? Because I think I just like the Congo, getting a Congo to hit the switches.
Congo, definitely monkey boy.
I like climbing the tower, the termite
Yeah,
tower.
that's fun
That's probably my
too.
favorite one. And I always save that for
Me
last
too.
because then you climb to the top as the termite because the termite lets you climb up the steep
Hmm.
ledges. And then I love when you're going up it. The termites are always like, "Hey, where'd you get that backpack? Where'd you get that those shorts?"
Yeah.
They're all heckling you about your clothes.
So then you get to the top, and then you grab that Jiggy, and then I always just jump off because their termite doesn't take fall damage.
Yep. And then you can leave the world and go get the one up top. That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah, so you didn't really like that world, Connor. Was there a reason, or is it just because it was your first one, or?
It was more or less like it was like that reaction of, oh, they weren't kidding when they said that this is a much smaller game,
Hmm.
which is a trend you'll probably get from me as in terms of my reactions is everything in this game felt a lot smaller than I was expecting having come from Tui.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is definitely a much smaller scope
Hmm.
game than that.
Yeah, so
I also want to shout out that in this level, it's the first time you get all the items, and I just love that the items talk to you, explaining what they
yeah,
are. They all have their own voice.
the talking and the chatter is like just frequent enough and just charming enough, well, more than charming enough actually, that it's one of the most fun things. I did not expect a Nintendo 64 game, and I probably should have playing Tui, but I completely forgot just how much dialogue that
Yep.
they have in
Mm-hmm.
these games, which is almost unheard of for platformers at this point.
I also love when you get all the jiggy pieces. It does that, and then Banjo does the gaha gaha, the bow.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. I love that.
Classical dance.
Also, good music there too. Good track, just because it's so memorable. Because you hear it so much when you start the game, because it's the first world.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we go to the second world? So remember that was number 5 on the list. So now the second world you go to is Treasure Trove Cove, which ended up being the third ranked world on our list. Now, I had it ranked, let's see, 5th. Connor had it ranked 6th. And Parrott had it as his number 1 world. So go ahead, Parrott, take it away on Treasure Trove Cove.
Yeah, I love this world. As I said before, this is as far as I ever got as a kid. So that's maybe that could be part of it, but I just love, like we will say in every world, I love the music in this world.
It's so
For
good.
me, I just love the tropical feel and setting to this level. I love that it introduces the flying, and then I just love the shark. I remember I was always so
Nipper.
stressed out by it as a kid, but I
Gosh,
also
yeah.
loved it. I was always just like trying to antagonize the shark. I'm like, okay, if I can go out there, can I make it back in time without it getting me? And then I play it now, and like the shark is like laughable. Like it never is gonna get you if you're just moving. But
Yeah, never gonna get you.
Nope. Scrumptious.
I just love the giant hermit crab,
Yes.
and I also always like the opening and closing treasure chest with the teeth.
Oh yeah, you just flip into. Actually, I think the giant crab is Nipper. Maybe I think is the shark like Chomp or something. I don't remember.
Nipper is the crab. I wrote that down. I wrote Nipper the crab.
Was Nibbler
Hmm
with a shark? I don't
Maybe
remember.
that was it. It's funny too because they troll you at the beginning because they put a Jinjo right under the dock, and you're
Yes,
like, I can easily get this, and then he like comes and easily gets you.
which
His,
I got.
yeah, his name is Snacker the shark.
Snacker.
Snacker.
They do the whole credit roll for every single
Yes.
character at the
Yes.
end, which is so funny.
Also, you have Captain. Is it Captain Blubber? Is that his name?
Yep.
The walrus.
Yep.
And then he's just like farting the whole time when he
It's like so
talks.
sad. He's like, "Where's my gold?" And he's just crying, and it's just like 2 feet in front of him. It's like, just go down there and get it. It's not that hidden.
He's this is a level, and that's the character that I was expecting to see in this game because he plays a role in the next one.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Interesting. You see, I haven't played Banjo-Tooie, so I'm really excited. Have you played it, Parrot?
Yeah, I got 100% on that one
Okay.
on the 360
Oh.
version, but I've only played that one. I've only played that one to completion once.
So Connor and I will be reversed in that one. He'll be like the veteran, and then I'll be the newbie.
Veteran, except I haven't played since I was 5, so my memories are like, and then there was this. Connor, this never happened. What?
So I think my favorite Jinjo in this world is the one, or not Jinjo, Jiggy, is the one where you do the treasure hunt. You like fly around and have to butt stomp the X's.
Yep.
I really like that
Then it
one.
fakes you out at the end. It's like, oh,
That was
we're not going to
funny.
give it to you, and it's just like on the island, like right in front of you.
Yep,
I like the one where you just climb up to the top of the lighthouse.
that is nice because you get the spring jump here too.
Yep,
Yeah.
you get the spring jump, and you get the flying, like we said, the flying pads,
Hmm
which I do think is fun because it really opens up the game to like have vertical levels and vertical sections.
Yes.
You know, the flying, I don't personally find much issue with the flying, but I know later on when it introduces like the attack move when you're flying, that's when it
Yeah.
starts to get a little dicey.
Oh yeah. I will not call them great flying controls, but I still appreciate them nonetheless because I like verticality in my platformers, which is why that's also my favorite Jiggy.
This world also has where you can enter cheat codes
Yes.
later in the game, which is interesting.
Did not find those.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Connor found those just based off what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically Cheeto, if you find him throughout the world, he'll give you like different codes that you can type in where you get the one Jiggy, and you'll be able to like double your amount of eggs and red feathers and gold feathers.
Yep. He's a giant floating book. He's in Banjo-Tooie also.
Yes, he is. He got all torn up and
Yep.
I did find the input, but I did not actually find a single cheat code until like halfway through the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then it was red feathers, which I did not need.
No, I actually never even put the cheats in this time. I just found most of them. This level also, I kept track of it because I was like, I know that they give you the mechanic to shoot eggs, which you do constantly. But they give you them also the mechanic to poop the eggs, which I'm like, I don't really remember
Yeah.
using this very often. But I did find there's quite a few instances where you have to do that, and this is one of those levels where you have to poop the eggs into the little bucket.
Yep, that was a really funny mechanic.
It's always what it would do.
That little ding doesn't actually make any
Yeah.
show that it has an effect. You're just listening for that ding and hoping it's right.
Hoping you can get it.
Hoping.
So I replayed the 360 version. Like I said, that's really the version I played most. Did either of you play the N64 one this time?
I've played that one. I only played the 360 one once. The last one I played was I played the N64 version.
And Connor played the N64 one also.
Yep.
So does the N64 version have the stop and swap eggs? I don't really know about that.
What is a stop and swap egg?
So in this level, there's to the right of that little island where you get the treasure in the treasure hunt. There's like like it looks like a little a floating mountain out in the
Yeah.
water. And if you go in there and you climb up, there's like a little platforming section, and in there is an egg. And these are like all throughout the game. I ended up finding all of them, and they were supposedly supposed to go from Banjo-Kazooie to Tooie.
Yeah, I think that's only in the 360 version because it never got passed in the N64 one.
Right. And then the
Yep.
N64 one has the ice key. Like you can see it, but you can't get it, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, so I guess we'll move on to the third world, which was Clanker's Cavern. Now, Clanker Cavern did not fare so well in the ranking. It was the 8th ranked world, and Parrott and I both had it ranked 8th, which is funny, but Connor had it ranked 4th, so he liked it a little
Wow.
more than us. So why don't you tell us about Clanker, Connor?
Yeah, surprisingly, as much as I don't like the swimming in this game, that almost made it the one of the more interesting ones for me in this. Plus, you had Clanker, who is a bro, and that was kind of a fun set piece for the level. It
Yeah.
is one of the early levels that, well, one of the earlier levels where I was just like, yeah, okay, this place is ugly as heck, but I can dig the vibe of it. It's got a theme that I'm down for, and had some more interesting platforming challenges, which is you'll probably see as kind of the theme of a lot of my favorite levels.
It is cool how they put so many different jiggies in Clanker. Like you have where you have to brush his teeth or you knock his gold tooth out, and then you go inside when you get the gold feathers and you have to race through his fans. And they really utilize him very well.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly it. Is I really like those levels where it feels super like there's a super cohesive flow to everything you're doing. This one, you're helping out and exploring Clinker himself.
Yeah, it's really cool how you have a character as a large portion of the level.
It's also funny how they have those radioactive crabs randomly
Yeah,
Yes.
they're
too.
like everywhere. This was a level that so I put it 8th, but that's really I actually don't hate this level at all. This was a lot better than I remembered. I will also say, like I said, I played the 360 version, so the control thing I can't speak to the N64 version, but I remember this level being so annoying, but it just really I didn't have that feeling this time. It didn't take me very long. I think there's like certain parts where it can be a little confusing, like how circling Clanker, there's all the pipes, and I was like, which one did I go in already?
Yeah.
And then when you go to the bottom and you have to go through the key,
Oh, that part freaks me out. Like is it because you have to get the air and the music's like
yes, it's so good. That was the only part where in the whole game, that was the only part where I was like, oh, the swimming is a little rough at times because I feel like it's a little hard with the depth perception sometimes to tell where the bubble actually is compared to you.
I couldn't blame that entirely on the swimming because I had the same depth perception problems in this game on pretty much every
Everywhere.
collectible. I was just like, oh, I'll run into that egg, miss the egg by like a half inch. What the heck? How do I keep doing this?
That just reminds me, not in this level specifically, but so many of the levels where the challenge is just like, all right, you have a timer, walk straight. And it's just like,
oh no.
God, with an N64 controller, that's just unfair. There's no way anybody could do this.
Yeah, I also really like this world. I just dislike my 9th ranked world, which we'll get to at some point. But
Yeah, same.
I will say the music isn't as memorable for me in this world. I don't even
No,
really remember it too
me
much.
either. This is one of the
I
only
can't say
worlds I
I
didn't
do
write
either.
down. I love the song in. It's like one of the only ones I didn't write that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it was one of those things where it had all the elements to annoy me, and at times it did, but somehow it all congealed together into something that I thought of rather fondly as one of the more interesting parts of the game.
My favorite Jiggy in this one is in Clanker, where you have to jump through all the hoops in a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah. I just like where you gotta clean his or knock his teeth out.
That's a good one. I think my favorite is probably like the last one in him, where you have to get the invincibility feather and then just like break through all of those rotating teeth
Yeah.
or spinal bits or whatever they are. Like, sorry,
His,
dude.
his spinning mechanical spines.
Whatever those are.
I have no idea.
The inside of him is a mystery, and it's kind of weird. I love it.
Poor Clanker. All right, so let's move on to the fourth world, which is Bubble Gloop Swamp. And this one fared a little better than Clanker. It was the 6th ranked world. And let's see. So Connor and I both had similar views of this one. I had it ranked 7th, and Connor had it ranked 8th. But Parrott had it as his second favorite world. So why don't you tell us about the swamp, Parrott?
I've always loved this one. Like this is one of the ones that really stands out to me in my memory of playing it in high school. I could see where people wouldn't like it because it is one of those levels where if you fall the wrong way, you're going to probably die or be very injured, because if you touch the water in this level, you get hurt after, like,
Yep.
you get hurt instantly and you get hurt every couple seconds afterwards. So I feel like that made some fun, challenging platforming sections. Even though upon like playing the game again, I realized that the Mumbo transformations aren't really that important in the game.
Yeah.
They often don't really do much other than just allow you to walk in a slightly different spot.
Yes, you can walk here now.
Yeah.
Cool.
You do I do like the crocodile transformation in this game, in this
Mhm.
world.
It might even be the best of the transformations because you can
I
actually do something with it.
I like that unlike a lot of the other ones, you're not totally defenseless.
Yep.
And I also, what I like about this world is it's one of the, well, actually Clanker had one too, but this is one of the worlds where they really introduce the mini game aspect for
Yes.
some of the jiggies. So you have the turtles singing,
My favorite,
and then the crocodile race to eat the little bug things.
Mr. Vile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite is definitely the turtle choir because you have to, it's pretty much Simon Says, but it's just like, ow, ow,
Oh,
ow.
oh.
And then there's a honeycomb piece up in front of the instructor if you jump up
Yep.
off the desk.
And I remembered that, and I was like, I'm gonna grab this first. And he's like, stop coming over here. You have to do the class. I'm like, I know, I just want the honeycomb piece first. Then I'll work with your dumb kids.
I just love how you're smashing, like flattening them to the ground to
Yeah.
make them play a note. So yeah, this seems kosher.
I like the world, but I think it is just kind of, it's hard to walk straight in this one. Like when you have to race to get the one jiggy, I remember, like that path, I always fall off every time.
Yep, that's one of those ones. Like I was saying, this level has two of those where there's just like, oh, you got to run somewhere quick, and it's like, oh, don't fall.
I actually at that point I think I had kind of learned the trick of holding the R button and the left on the D-pad to do the what do they
Oh,
call it?
Talon
Talon
Trot.
trot. Yeah, I was just like holding R and doing the Talon trot, so it was basically like a racing game at that point. That was actually pretty good for those kinds of challenges. Worked well
Yeah.
enough.
In my play style for like those, I tend to just walk a little bit and then jump and then just re-land and then jump and then re-land.
Yes, there's a lot of that still.
That's like how I play most platforming games. It's just something about my go-to style. Like every game that has the ability to, I'll jump and then I'll hover over the platform where I'm about to land. And that's
Yeah,
just what I did in this game constantly.
yeah. Gives you a lot more chances to correct before you fall below
Yep.
the platform.
Sometimes you have it perfect and then you do the thing to correct yourself and then you mess yourself up because you're trying to
Yes.
correct yourself and you're overthinking it and then you have to go back. Oh, then a split second. I live for that,
10% of the time.
This is also where you get the boots, which are hilarious because you just like extend your legs and then you can walk in the water with these gum boots.
For like 5 to 10 seconds and then they
Yeah.
go away. It's like the worst move in the game, in my opinion.
It makes you slower.
Do not like
Yeah,
that.
I don't hate them, but I would agree that like within all the other moves in consideration, it's probably the worst. But what I do like is, we didn't mention it, but before you start the game, before you even get to the like game select screen, shows the main cast singing that song or playing that song on the banjo. And I love that these boots and then the turbo boots are both just slate renditions on those songs.
Yeah,
Classic.
that intro is legendary. We
Yeah.
didn't talk about, but it's just so
Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I love these boots. The sprint sneakers, those are
No.
awesome, but the wading boots, not so good.
Those are fun. Turbochargers or whatever.
A lot of times I would just be like, oh, I just have to get over there with the boots, huh? I'll just jump and take the hit and then just jump again and hope I make it.
Same.
It's like that's faster. You're not often in too many dire situations in this game where you're gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, you are at times, but generally speaking, you can probably afford to take a hit.
It's very like the 3D Marios for me in that aspect of like, oh, they put that obstacle there. I'll just
Mhm.
long jump around it.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
And then this is, unless Straw Hat can correct me, this I believe is the first time that you can find Cheeto, or this is the first time that I personally found him this like on this playthrough.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Because you can pull the crocodile out
Yep.
of this stage and then go into like this little hidden spot behind the stage entrance and find him.
Which, needless to say, I absolutely did not do.
I think the other times with Mad Monster Mansion, I was with the pumpkin again. Is the other time I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think those are the only two I found this
That's
time.
the one I got.
Yeah.
Think about it gameplay wise, I probably would have rated Bubble Gloop Slomp higher, but it was those two factors that really killed it for me. The boots, having the boots, introducing the boots, making you use the boots. that killed it. And then it's a swamp, and I'm diametrically opposed as a person to swamps. So
No, that's fair. I can't argue with that. I like the frog enemies. That's another thing I
Yeah,
really
they're
like about this
fun.
level.
yes, the crocodile boy, awesome. I
Yep.
probably could have given it another rank or two just off of the crocodile, but
Yeah. I also just like how you can go inside the big crocodile and then you go inside the big turtle. It's pretty
By
cool.
stomping his feet, it's just like,
Yeah, injuring
how?
Oh, I'm, my feet are cold or whatever he's saying. It's like, okay, let's smash them.
Yeah.
it's a lot of going inside of larger creatures in these games.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think my favorite in this one is the crocodile minigame. I can see a lot of people probably hate that, but I just love it. You're trying to get the red ones, I believe, for points and avoid the yellow ones, and then in the
Yep.
last round it's alternating, and then the AI is like actually pretty decent. So you have
Yeah,
to
they're
like box them
good.
out. I just love doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. That was my favorite one there.
All right, why don't we move on to the fifth world, which is Freezeezy Peak. And I would say, to no surprise, this was the number one rated world in the poll. So this was our number one. And you can tell by how high we all ranked it. I had it as my favorite world. It's my favorite. Connor had it as his number 2, and Parrott had it as his number 4. So pretty much everybody loves this world. I think there might have been there's one coming up, I know, that somebody did this, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you? But we'll get to that soon. But yeah, pretty much everybody loved this world, and the music is amazing. I love this one. This world should be played during Christmas by everyone, because it is like the best Christmas world ever. It's so good. Now it does have that annoying thing where you can't get all the jiggies because you have to get the speed boots in a different world and come back. But everything else, it's perfect. You have the Christmas trees, you have the snowmen who are really annoying,
Yes.
but you can kill them with the beak bomb. And I think my favorite one, there's a couple mini games here. Racing the bear, is it Boggy? Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Such a
Boggy the
difficult
deadbeat
one.
dad.
Or what's called, where he just like can always catch up to you all the time.
Oh, rubber
It's like,
banding.
yeah, he's the rubber band king.
Sadly, a little spoiler for Banjo-Tooie, he's not the king. He's only, the prince, because there's one part in Banjo-Tooie that is absurdly hard with this
Oh boy.
stuff.
I also love that you have to fly through the tree to the star to light it up, and then you have to protect the lights from those crunching things from eating them.
Twinklies. The twinkly light bulbs are called. I love that part. It's kind of like dark. They're just like,
I
you
know.
can only, because you can't possibly save all of them because of the way the timing works. So it's just like you're just hearing them get crunched and like scream like, ow. It's like, oh my god. It was like, oh, you saved 10, but it's like, I let you like 15 of you die. I'm so sorry.
It's a very apt metaphor for pulling Christmas lights, especially old Christmas lights, out of a box. You're trying to
Mhm.
make sure you crack as few as possible.
Yeah, I just love so many jiggies in this world. Like, I love where you slide down the sled and whack Boggy in the stomach and he spits one
Yep.
out. I
Yeah.
love getting the presents for all the kids too. It's such a good world.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Boggy, you're in a coma basically. I finally wake you up, and instead of going to help your kids, you just go
Oh,
race.
you go racing. It's like, I gotta be the dad these kids deserve. Neat.
Then you also have like the walrus transformation where the walrus won't let you in the cave. He's like, "Oh, you look like friendly, so you can come in here." Then you can change back. He's like, "Ah."
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and that is where the ice key is in both versions. So in the N64 one, you can see it, but you can't get it, correct?
Yep.
And then the 360 one, you can just go grab it, and then all it
Hmm.
does is it like unlocks a gamer picture or something stupid.
That's not stupid. That's art.
It's beautiful. Actually, I think it. I can't remember. One of them actually might transfer into Banjo-Tooie, the 360 version. I can't remember.
Mm,
Those gamer pictures on the 360, man, those were status
They
icons.
were.
that's
I loved them at the
true.
time. And then if you look at them now, like on a current profile, they're like so low res. They're just because they're so tiny.
I love getting the like remade ones, or someone went
Yeah.
did the whole thing with vector art and using those on like Discord or whatever.
Yeah, I also am going to second that this is my favorite of all the songs in the worlds.
Oh yeah, it's well actually I don't think it's my favorite. It's my second favorite. There's another one I actually like a little more, I think. It's pretty close though. It depends on my mood.
I also love the scale in this one as well because this, like I said, a lot of the levels just revolve around something in the center, and this is probably one of the. I think it probably is the biggest one, other than maybe Click Clock Wood. I just
It's
love scaling the snowman's scarf. Is that what it's supposed to be, right?
Yep.
And
yeah,
you're climbing up it, and then you're on top of his hat, and then you get, which is my favorite Jiggy. You get the Jiggy inside of his pipe.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
yeah, and it's the one that I think uses the flying mechanic the most interestingly, and the it has just enough platforms to keep it from being completely annoying either.
Yep.
You have to slam his buttons and then also the snowmen, that's how you kill them.
Yeah,
The snowmen are the one thing that made me not want to put this level first because those things can be pretty frustrating.
yeah, it was a little frustrating at first, but I got the trick down eventually. It took me a while to realize that the center of the screen is where it more or less aims.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
It's just like the target is just slightly too small, and
Yeah.
they're so low to the ground that if you mess up, there's a good chance you're gonna stop flying, and then and then you have to walk through the frozen water, getting hurt to try to get back.
It was a pretty time consuming level if you mess stuff up.
Yep.
I probably would not have liked it as much if I didn't have a save state.
And that's the one difference also in the 360 version, if I recall, because in the N64 version, if you die, you have to get all the notes again, right? In the 360 version, that is not the case.
There's a
Yep,
couple
that's
levels I
correct.
gave up on for that reason.
Well, I already know which one that one is. It'll be coming up. But I think Freeze Easy Peak definitely good number one. I was happy that it ended up finishing that high. And now we're ready to move on to a completely different climate and go to Gobi's Valley, which is number 4 on our list. And let's see. So Connor had this one ranked 5th. Parrott and I both had it ranked 3rd, but I'm going to let Parrott take this one.
This is one I don't remember loving as much as I did this time. I just really like the setting of this. I love Gobi the camel. I just also love how
Ugh,
he's the most tragic character. He just wants
Yeah.
water, and then he finally gets the water, and then you shoot it out of him. So he
into the
leaves this
tree.
level, and
Yeah.
then you find him later, and you just keep abusing him basically the whole time.
Yeah.
And that continues on to the next game to
Yeah,
some
Which is
extent.
great.
I love that. It's a little tease. He says, "Wait," like in that in Click Clock Wood when you get rid of him for the final time. He's like, "I'm gonna go find somewhere else to go."
Yep. And this might be my favorite track in the game. I love Gobi Valley track. I think it's such an upbeat tune. It's between that one and Freeze Easy Peak.
Yeah, this one's also really good. Yeah, when you see Gobi, he's like, I'm going off to the lava world. And there is no lava world in this game, but there is in Banjo Tooie, which you will
Yeah.
find him there.
It was fun seeing him say that.
Yeah, I really liked how they used all the different like catacombs and like the secrets in this one to
Yes.
get the jiggies.
I like how like there is this one is still circular, but really the most important thing is not in the middle. It's everything around it. And I like how there's all the different pyramids and you each one has like some sort of puzzle or mini game or something inside of it
Yeah.
that you will use to get a Jiggy, and then also usually do something to the main level to be able to get another one later.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of backtracking or having to go long ways out of your way for all that stuff too. It was pretty tightly grouped and easy to hit the thing and then move on.
One of my favorite ones here is the stupid hand that mocks you because you're
Yes.
too slow until you get the shoes, and then you get the shoes and you beat him, and he's like, oh. I'm like, yes.
He's just like Sonic in Super Smash Brothers, like, you're too slow.
hmm
Yeah.
The memory one's funny too. It's like you actually have to play memory while these mummies chase you around.
Unless
Oh
you
yeah.
murder them.
You can try, but they come back.
They do not if you
Yeah.
use the
Gold feather.
gold
Yep.
feather.
Oh, I definitely didn't have that at that
That
point.
is an item I also didn't remember using that much until this playthrough, and I'm like, oh, these gold feathers are really overpowered.
They are.
I did not use them until I absolutely needed to because I have that tick inside my head that says, "Oh, this is a consumable. Don't use it."
Yep, gotta save it.
The King Tut tomb, like where he chases you, is funny too because a similar thing kind of happens in Donkey Kong 64. You're going to see as well when we play that next month. That must be kind of like an inspiration for it.
It is kind of funny that we're going to Donkey Kong 64 next and not Banjo-Tooie. That's going to be a little bit of a sine wave pattern of size.
But you know what? We actually I didn't even plan this, but we're doing the order that the games came out in Rare
Oh.
because we're doing all four of them, and because DK64 came out before Banjo-Tooie.
I did not suspect that.
This level gets bonus points in my opinion just for introducing the running shoes. I just love moving around with these.
Where you have to race to the top. I always have trouble getting it though. I'm like, all right, I gotta focus.
Yeah,
You get there just in time.
The timers in this game are not really generous.
they're very tight.
Yeah, you have to jump to actually make it because I don't know if
Yeah.
you can actually run.
I don't think you can make it just by running. You have to at least jump the ramps. Like halfway up the ramp, you have to jump to get that time.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts in this game. The timers are just long enough for you to make it there. So there's some bit of a learning curve. This is another level where you actually do use the egg pooping when you have to poop into the snake charmer's like spinning bucket or whatever
Oh yeah,
to lift the snake up.
This game.
some great ones. Now next we have Mad Monster Mansion, which ended up as our number 2 favorite world. And I'll give you guys the point totals at the very end when we go over the whole list. But Mad Monster Mansion was 2, and I definitely liked it the most. I had it as my number 2, and then Connor had it as 7, and Parrott had it at 5. So Mad Monster Mansion it's kind of like a haunted house world. There's this huge mansion in the middle. You have to explore it to get inside to see if you can get some jiggies and figure out its secrets. And you also explore the grounds around it. And one of the funniest jiggies here is where you change into the pumpkin and have to jump in the toilet and get flushed down to get a jiggy.
Yeah, you're just like hang out in the sewer below the house.
That one was rather funny.
But a lot of the rooms when you first get in there, you cannot really do much in. Like the one that's really funny is the ghost that, like, if you touch the floor, he wakes up. So you have to like sneak in and jump on the chairs. I always like that one.
Yeah, that's really cool because you have to sneak around, go down the fireplace, and then sneak up behind him, jumping on the chairs because of the cushions. I just love the scale in that. In this level, in multiple spots, but that room especially with the huge dining room table and the chairs that are like, like 10 times as tall as you are.
Yeah, you're like a tiny little thing in this weirdly gigantic world, which are smaller on the outside than on the inside.
Yeah, than the inside.
10 times. It's like, okay, that's fun.
You have to, sneak up on the appropriately named ghost named Napper.
Did you just have to stay on the furniture? You didn't have to walk slowly or anything?
No, you just have to, because if you come through the fireplace, you can jump onto the chairs and then you can just jump chair to chair to get up to them.
Oh, see, I got that first try, but I was under the assumption because this is a mechanic I learned in Tui was you have to sneak up to the sleeping thing, so you have to push the stick ever so slightly. So I got on that table and immediately was just slowly pushing the stick, just like I learned back when I was 4 years old, and was like, did I even need to do that in this one? Guess not.
I don't believe I did.
No, you don't. Yeah, you just can go up and get it. I also really love the church part in this, like the
Yes.
church organ. Then you go up top to the rafters. It's great.
I have a I liked everything about the church except for trying to get the stupid little notes on the pews with those gigantic ghosts that follow you, and it just felt like I could never get around them.
You know what would have been really useful in those situations? The
Hmm.
golden feathers. Because you just take them out.
Which I always forget to use.
Yeah, I like the environment of this level. I think this level is a little. I didn't rank it as high because I think it doesn't flow as nicely as some of the other levels, in my
No.
opinion. And the pumpkin is kind of more annoying than
It is
anything.
kind of a terrible
Yes.
one, but this is another track I love. Like I love the track for
Yeah,
this game, and yeah, I just love like the whole Halloween type atmosphere.
yeah, it is really cool. There's a really nice touch where once again you poop in the egg baskets, the poop eggs into the flower baskets, and the graves are like, "Thank
Oh
you."
Yeah,
yeah.
it
I love
sounds
that
like
part.
something else though. That sometimes if you listen to it, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. I probably This is one that I ranked pretty low because it had the highest density of things that just ended up frustrating me. Like, this is one of the ones where I died when I was nearly collected all the notes. And it's like,
Oh,
right near the end, it's like, oh, now you reset everything. And I didn't have a save state anywhere convenient.
No.
So I was just like, oh, F. Uh, and then when I was going to give up on it, then it turned out you can't because, well, you can give up on the notes, thankfully. But I had to go back anyways because I had to go figure out, like, I had to go get our Jiggy. And then I don't remember if it was both of them or just both at the same time, but I had to go back in our Jiggy. And then I had to go figure out the whole thing with the pumpkin and then going out of the map and then going somewhere else. And it just took me like an hour.
yeah, I do find that part annoying where you need to use the pumpkin to get into like the little crypt
Hmm.
to progress the game, but you have to be Banjo to break the door to
Oh
be able to
yeah.
get down there. So you have to like
Yeah.
leave the level to open it and then go back in the level to become the pumpkin. But if you don't remember or know that and you leave as the pumpkin, you then have to go back in, be Banjo, go back in.
Oh, yeah, and then you had to break the gate as Banjo
Yeah.
first,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I like.
S-
Look, everything's a 2D texture. How do I know which ones I break? Which happened in the level as well. Which windows and thing? How was I supposed to know these windows and
Oh
doors could
yeah.
be just
They look
shattered?
just slightly different.
It's like, uh,
One thing I will say about the pumpkin though, there's a really nice animation that I wrote down when you jump and the lid pops up a little bit
Yep.
and then
yes,
lands back on you. I really
yes,
do like that little touch.
definitely will never fault them on those little touches. They nailed those all the way through.
They sure did.
And then, like we mentioned before, this is another level where you can use the pumpkin to get another cheat if you go back from here to like that molten lava area.
The really thin path.
Yep. Practice your analog stick.
Yeah.
Just jump over it. There's just a jumping challenge, not a.
Yep.
Yep. And speaking of windows that you aren't sure which ones to break,
Yep.
that brings us to our next world, which is Rusty Bucket Bay, which, surprise, surprise, most people hated, and it was our ninth rated world, and it is my least favorite for sure. It definitely got the most 1 points. And now Parrott also had it really low at 7, but Connor had it as his third favorite world.
Wow.
So why don't you tell us about Rusty Bucket Bay, Connor?
I thought it'd be a slightly more popular, but it is weird that this is one that I was sitting there and going like, which ones do I think most fondly of? And it's like, I liked Rusty Bucket. That was kind of fun, which is us. I did not. I don't typically like kind of industrial levels, but this one had a fun song. There was just something. I can't quite remember exactly how it goes, but there was just something about how the song in that level is that just got me in the mood for like the entire rhythm of the level, where it wasn't a particularly fast one, and like I was having to kind of loop around a bunch of areas, but I was just in the mood at that one. There was some nice technical platforming in that level as well, which I'm
Hmm.
always more for is more technical stuff, like the one where you have to hit the switch to turn down the turbine or the
Mm-hmm.
propellers in the back of the ship. Then you have to sprint all the way out there and then all the way across the ship and then dive into the water. Then go get the Jiggy, and you can still die if you don't
Yep.
get. You can get the Jiggy and then die because the propellers will spin up again. You're trapped behind them, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah, that is probably one of the harder pure platforming sections in this game, I would say.
Yeah.
It's very unforgiving because those platforms, you're
Ugh,
trying to get down there
yeah.
and they spin, and you have to go on both sides because if you want to get all the notes,
Oh
and then
yeah.
you hit that switch and you have to do the whole thing reversed, but way faster.
Yeah, and I loved that little section in there with all the
Yeah,
rotating
it's
bits.
really good.
That's funny because I hate the engine room. I always dread doing that because it's like if you die, you're just it can mess you up. And this is the one world
Save states,
where
baby.
this is the one world where I always have trouble finding all the music notes.
Yeah, I wrote that down too because there's all the warehouses
Yeah,
around the boat, and then the camera angles in there sometimes can make it so you don't see that there's supposed to be something behind you.
Yes.
and the water you lose air even if you're not
Yes,
underwater, and underwater you lose it double.
double.
Yeah.
And you have to go down there. You have to save that poor dolphin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor dolphin.
It was. Yeah, if I didn't have save states, I probably would have been pretty livid at this level. But
I can see that.
It's the only level I died on the whole time because I fell in the water and I couldn't quite get back out in time.
Because our
And
buddy the shark's back.
yep, Nipper the shark returns.
over there in the corner. Yeah, that kind of indoor exploration thing was also another thing I liked about it because it kind of had that sort of almost not quite Resident Evil-y feel, but that kind of like old adventure game sort of feel to the interiors where they had these really tight fixed camera angles.
Yeah, I like that.
But they weren't
Like
too
you can find the
annoying.
kitchen and then the where they sleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like
Yes.
that it's like a very real world setting that you're running around in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the exploring the actual ship. Like everything about the ship I love. I just don't like the engine room because it's a nightmare. And then everything outside the ship I really don't like either.
Yes. And then the breakable window is actually 3D while the other rest of them are all flat.
Yep.
So if you miss that one, it actually does feel like it's on you. I still missed it.
Yeah,
least
I
you can
missed it
admit
till
it.
I figured it out. And then another thing with this one is did you use the gold feathers to break the box boss, Connor, or did you use the eggs?
I rolled into him.
Oh, you just rolled. See, I just
Yeah.
used the gold feathers.
Same. I wrote in my notes, chump. He was a total chump. You just use the gold feathers and he's just eviscerated within like 3 seconds.
Did you guys do the thing that I suspect most people did this, but my go-to attack method was to do a micro jump and like as soon as I hit A, hit B. So I just
Yes.
did this micro jump with the 3-hit beak attack. And I was like,
Yep.
this is the most effective attack in the game. That's what I did on
100%.
everything.
Pretty much never. They teach you the move where you crouch down and then dash forward with the beak. I just don't really think I ever use that move.
Or even Banjo's normal attack is horrible, like where he
Yes.
swings his paws. It's awful. It never hits, and it's so slow.
Brother,
Yeah.
Banjo, the bird does everything for you.
Yep.
I was just thinking that like he's kind of useless. He's just a vehicle for her.
Yeah.
Yep.
He becomes he has stuff he actually does in Tui, which they also make a lot of jokes, I think. If I remember correctly. I think they make quite a few jokes in Tui about how limited he was in the first game.
It is funny too how Rare had very few boss fights in this game, where I know they corrected that in Tui and also in DK64.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was one of the things I noticed off the bat too, which also made me feel like this game was kind of very light. I was just like expecting a boss fight in every level, and there was almost none until Box Boy.
Yeah, and then you had the crab Nipper and treasure trove, and that's pretty much it, I think.
I couldn't figure out what to do with the crab.
You just gotta wait for him to claw at you, and then when he puts his claws back, you run up and poke him in the eyes.
Yep.
Oh, huh.
And then you get to go crawl around inside of him, inside of his shell.
Yep.
I kept smashing and trying to do whatever I could. I never actually hit the eyes, I guess.
All right, so that brings us to our final world, Click Clock Woods, and this was a very controversial world. Like this probably had the biggest range of votes. It ended up finishing 7th, and I had it ranked 6th. Parrott had it as his least favorite, and Connor had it as his favorite. So, Connor, why don't you tell us about Click Clock Woods?
I like going up. And you go up a lot in this one.
Yes, you do.
It's one of those things where if you heard me playing Click Clock Woods, you probably would have immediately thought, "Oh, this guy hates this level." I was screaming. I was raging at all the times I accidentally slipped. This is where I got camera killed the most by it, especially that little house that's being constructed up
Yes.
near the middle of it.
Yep.
When you're going around the back of that thing and the Nintendo 64, the camera, even if you pre-swing it around, it will still just go, I'm going to clip on this corner and shoot you off in another direction, which is very Dark Soulsy. So I guess my ability to be annoyed by that is pretty numbed by my other choices in gaming. But
Yeah,
I love the seasons aspect and going back and forth and all that there. And I like woods. So
I do. Yeah, I think this level has a lot of really good ideas. I do like the seasons. I like how there are almost all the jiggies involve you doing something in one season and
Yep.
then reaping the reward later,
yes.
like feeding the eagle or freeing the beaver's home so
The
you can then get
beaver,
to them
yeah.
in the summer
Yeah.
or growing the flower. I just felt like for me in actual playing the level, I was more annoyed than entertained a lot of the time.
It's funny. Yeah, I really do like this world. I know I had it at 6, but I wanted to put it higher because I really do think it's just so fun and creative how they did all the stuff. I think climbing the tree over and over again does get old, especially when the leaves go away in the later
Yes.
seasons. But the bee power up is also really good because you can just
Yes.
fly all the time.
The bee is fun. Fat little bumblebee.
I do think that that is the best transformation out of all of them because you can't really attack if I remember correctly, but it just offers you so much mobility that
Unlimited
it's worth it.
flight.
Yeah. Only problem is you can only use it in fall, right?
Yeah, it's pretty limited, which is kind of annoying.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you can
Spring.
only use it in fall, but or one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and then you also have the one with the squirrel, but I did fall down a lot, which does kind of annoy you. Like when because you have to make some really tough jumps at some point.
I think part of it for me was that by that point I had just accepted that my annoyances with the platforming in the game and the way it controls were just kind of global to the experience for me. So I didn't really blame any of that on Click Clock Woods in particular. It was just like, well, it's a big level. It's going to happen more often.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm also thinking that this is the most Banjo-Tooie like world because it does take the longest. It does usually take like an hour or so to complete. So I wonder if that's also another reason that this was your favorite, Connor.
That could be true. If I were to say where the three most Banjo Tooie esque levels in the whole game, they would be Click Clock Woods, Freeze Easy Peak, Rusty Bucket Bay.
Makes sense.
I assume Connor didn't do it, but one of the most stressful parts is where I think you're trying to get the last empty honeycomb piece, and you have to go in the water in the winter. Did you do
Yes.
that? Yes. And you have to swim to the beaver's house, but it's like just far enough where if you mess up, you
You
get stuck on
did.
something, you are gonna drown.
I can say with 100% confidence that I absolutely did not touch that water in the winter.
There's just like one small little hole that you can jump
Yep.
into.
Yeah.
So you have to go like pretty much like almost all the way across the pond to get to the beaver house without drowning.
So many little things in that game. I just looked at them and went, nope, not touching you.
It's funny because I was like, yes, give me the challenge. I love it.
Yeah, I love that part. I would not say I hate this level. I just think compared to the other ones, it is the least appealing to me because I just think even though it's really cool how the level changes throughout the 4 seasons, and I do like the way they interact with each other, they don't change quite enough for me to like be really into doing it all like again for the fourth time.
Or climb the tree 8 times because you kept forgetting what to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't actually have too much mechanical trouble climbing the tree. It was more just like a time thing. It was more just like, okay,
Yeah.
where I think if I wasn't going for 100%, it wouldn't have felt as annoying.
True.
Because I also got to the point where I missed 4 notes and I'm like, oh my god, which one of these seasons did I miss 4 notes in? So I'd like
No.
wander around looking for them.
Yeah. I did not have that. I did not have that little bit of brain rot holding me back from calling it.
And then after that, you have the board game that you have to play with Gruntilda to try and win Tui or another prize like Banjo thinks about taking. But The board game in theory sounds like it should have been really fun, but a lot of people end up hating it because it just ends up being very tedious and brutal because some of the tiles can give you an instant game over and you have to start over the whole way.
Yeah.
Did that happen to either of you?
Save states, baby.
Yeah, not since I think I was good even when I played it on Switch because I didn't have save states. Or I can't remember if they have it or not.
They do.
They typically do. I think you can even rewind in that.
Yeah, I was probably good then. But yeah, because you have to. I can usually remember the trivia stuff with like as far as the characters, but the Gruntilda trivia is tough. Plus, you have
Yeah.
to do some random fights like the bees. I remember trying to kill all the bees with a certain amount of time is tough.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually did not struggle with this time. I remember struggling with it more before, but I think I just took a good path this time. Because yeah, like the actual trivia about the game, and it's like, oh, where did this music play, or who has this voice? It was kind of like
Hmm.
pretty easy to quickly process of elimination that. Or if you couldn't, you definitely would have time to quickly do a Control F on a website to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grunty questions are where it's really hard because every game has different answers.
I actually had fun with the quiz part, and I tried to find as many of the Bruntilda characters as I could, so I was actually even kind of prepared for the grunty ones, even though I still probably got half of them wrong.
And in my experience, I don't know what it was, but every single time it asked me a grunty question, it was always the first answer. That's I think the only reason I passed on my first try because I
That's
just always
funny.
just guessed the first one, and every single time it was right. It was the first answer of the 3 for all like 6 other times I had to do one.
It was like, on a technical level, it was kind of surprising to me that the random generator on picking the quiz questions is actually based on like real time for seeding the random number because you can save state and then load, which gets all of memory back, which should, if depending on the implementation, also like rewind the random number generator in the game, which usually would make it repeat the exact same sequence. But no,
But it didn't.
yep, it's actually like it's a real time decided thing, so it's based off system clock or whatever.
So you actually had to really study.
Yeah, more or less.
I like that
Just
you
keep
have to
rolling.
do like some of the mini games again. Like I remember I had to do the choir again.
Yeah.
Yes, I ended
It's
up
like
with
all
that
they're
too.
like all harder though.
Yes, like I also had the B one, and I beat it with 1 second left on the clock. I'm like, oh my god, that was so close.
It was definitely the most Banjo-Tooie esque feeling part of the game.
So yeah, then after you get that, you can be done with the game if you want because you rescue Tui.
Yeah, you rescue 2D, and then it's like the credits roll, and it just brings you back to the main menu. I totally forgot that happened. It's really pretty funny because she's like, "Oh, you got her. Don't worry about me." And then the credits roll.
But yes, you can go back and fight Gruntilda then. And if you have got everything, like all the music notes and everything, you can unlock some really powerful stuff to help you. Like you can get more feathers, you get like a second health bar, which is really helpful because that last boss fight with Gruntilda is tough.
It's a
It's
Yeah,
marathon.
it's really hard.
you need to have gotten every single Jiggy except for 2. So if you've had basically every single one, yeah, you get the red health bar, which goes over your normal one, so
Mhm.
therefore doubling your health. So I'm assuming Connor did not get that, which would maybe
No, not
make this a
even
lot harder for
close.
you.
It was at that point in the game that I had to go back all the way to like from the start and start scouring for Jiggies I missed just to make up the 3 or 4 I needed to challenge the boss.
Yeah, so we played very different.
Yeah, I can't imagine because there are so many phases that you have to do. And the last phase where you have to shoot the eggs into the giant Jinjo statue is so hard. It's so frustrating.
Did you at least use your golden feathers
Yes,
here?
that's
Okay,
on
that's good. At least
finally
you use them
learned
at some point.
this.
Yeah, this fight is really frustrating at times because I feel like our spells just lock onto you, so you can't
Hmm.
really even dodge them. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go juke it, but it's like, nope, I can't. It's bigger than me, and it's gonna hit me no matter where I
Yeah,
go.
the fire ones you can reliably juke by just after it starts casting, just walk the other direction. But the other one, you can't
Yes,
juke that. You have to use the invincibility.
yeah, yeah. It's very easy to get
Unless
to
you're,
like the halfway point of this fight without getting hit, but then it becomes so hard once you have to start shooting the eggs into the statues.
or you can be me and get down to 2 hit points in the first round, and then save state scum your way through the rest of the fight.
Yeah,
Man, I was bad at this game.
I don't blame you. If I had that ability on Xbox, I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a brutal fight, especially because you don't really get many fights, like we said, boss fights through the game. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the part where you have to fly is so annoying
ugh,
Oh,
because she moves just enough where it's so hard to hit her, and it's just like already kind of wonky to aim anyways. So it makes it very frustrating.
yeah, and then aiming those eggs in those little slots at the Jinjo statue was the part that just was making me. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
at
is rough.
at that point, I just had a lot of hit points left, so I just stood in front of it. I was just
Yeah.
firing the eggs rapidly. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this before you can kill me. But the Ginjonator that pops up, pretty
Oh yeah,
badass,
pretty
very
cool.
badass.
He basically kills Gruntilda, so she falls down, and then a giant boulder falls on top of her, and she is trapped.
I didn't know that she didn't just die immediately, and she actually starves to death under the
Yeah.
boulder.
No, she's like under there, and then like in the post credit, her henchman Klungo is trying to lift the boulder to get her out, and she's just harassing him.
Yeah, and then so if you beat it 100% like we did, then you unlock like an extra cutscene where Banjo Kazooie are like sitting on the beach, and Mumbo and Tui, and then this random girl comes out with
Yeah,
giant
just
watermelons.
It's like a random woman in a bikini with watermelons. I'm like,
like
what the hell is going
normal
on?
woman,
Yeah, she's the only. It's like, what the?
and
She
that
does not belong there.
yeah, this is, I don't think that's an unlock for 100% because I got it too.
Oh, maybe it's just maybe from beating Gruntilda.
Yeah,
But yeah, and then that ends the game. So yeah, as we could tell, I pretty much just adore this game. I really just don't like Rusty Bucket Bay that much or the Gruntilda fight. Everything else I'm pretty high on, and even that doesn't deter me, and it's one of my favorite games of all time.
I totally agree. I don't really like the click clock wood, but it's not nearly enough. That or the grunty fight aren't enough to make it really go down too much in my mind. I hadn't replayed this game since I was in college, so like probably like 7 or 8 years ago at this point. So I was a little hesitant. I was like, I hope that it is good as I remember. And in my personal opinion, it still is. It holds up great,
Hmm.
especially on the 360 version because it fixes all those small little annoyances I think that you would have playing the original one.
All right, Connor, give it to us.
it's a very good prototype. I was trying to think of why it never caught on with like the level of charm that it gets for everyone else, and I realized it's because I started finally like sitting down thinking about Banjo Tooie and slowly remembering all these bits about it that I liked and I loved as a kid. And I realized, oh my gosh, Banjo Tooie just does everything I like in a game more than this one does. So there's this kind of empty sort of, well, yeah, prototypey feel to Banjo Kazooie for me. It's just like, okay, that was good round one. Now let's see what you really do.
Mm. So that's interesting because the biggest complaint I hear about TUI is the worlds are too big. So I'm curious because I think the worlds are about perfect here. They're not too big.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That is my complaint about Tui. And I have not played that game since high school, so we're gonna really see how I feel about that one. I'm curious how Connor will feel too.
Yeah, I'm going from like, first grade. So it's going to be very interesting.
I think I just like the structure of this one better. I like how the worlds are a little more pick up and play. They're not too
Hmm.
long. Where Tui, they're really big. I remember them being extremely interconnected with each other,
Oh,
where you
yeah.
couldn't just 100% a world on your first go and go to the
Not
next
at
one.
all.
You're constantly going back and forth between them all.
Yeah. It's basically a Metroidvania at that point.
Yep. But I do like all the moves they had in that game.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. And like I said, it is interesting how we didn't even plan it, but we're going to go through Rare's N64 games in order to see kind of how they build their games and how they learn from them.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I'm just starting DK64 now, and I've never played that game before. It's gonna be brand new for me.
Are you going to play DK64, Connor, or no?
I think I'm going to give it a shot.
All right.
It depends on how much I actually have to 100% it, because that's one that I always, a bunch of my friends had it when I was a kid, and I was always pretty jealous of that. So there's that lingering desire from my childhood to play the game, but it depends on how much of a time commitment it's going to be. I might get like halfway through or something.
Yeah, it is a long game. Just for you guys, warning for you guys wanting to play it and finish it for April. I know How Long to Beat has it between 20 and 25 hours, especially if you want 100%. There is so much stuff to collect, which is one of
gosh.
the biggest complaints about it. But it was one of my favorite games as a kid. I'll see if it holds up, but I loved it. So we'll see.
Yep, I'm looking forward to really trying it, but I highly doubt I'll like it as much as this.
Yeah, I wouldn't think I would either. We're gonna do at the end of the year, once we play all these 3D collectathons, we'll do maybe a top 10, and we'll see what our lists are and how we rank them all that we've played, which should be interesting. And also, before we go, I want to give you guys the full top 9 and how many points they scored, because I have a bone to pick with one of our Discord
Oh boy.
people. All right, so number 1, Freeze Easy Peak scored 75 points, which was a pretty commanding lead, because number 2 was Mad Monster Mansion at 67 points.
Nope, missed the 69. Oh well.
Yep. Then we had at number 3 was Treasure Trove Cove at 63 points. Gobi Valley had 62 points. It missed it by 1 point. And you know who I blame? It's you, Adaholic, because you gave it a 1. It was your least favorite world. What is wrong with you?
Oh boy.
I was so mad because I would have got my top 3 if it wasn't for, I'm blaming Addy for this. It's all your fault because you made Treasure Trove Cove pass it up. I hope you can sleep tonight when you hear this.
I got Treasure Trove in the top 3 because of you.
I got Freeze Easy.
We had Gobi Valley at 4. Then we had Mumbo Mountain at 5th with 49 points. There was a pretty big jump between 4 and 5. Gobi had 62. Mumbo had 49. And then Bubble Gloop Swamp was pretty close. It had 45. Click Clock Woods had 39. So there wasn't much between those. And then there was a drop off to Clanker. It had 26 points. Then Rusty Bucket Bay had 20 points. So that's out of 10. So yeah, most people had
over
it
a
at
third
1.
of its points.
Yes, you are.
My list, my personal list, was different than I expected, but that final list is kind of around what I would have guessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Chad had almost the exact same list as I did. I think. Let me see. Let me pull up some of the surprising. See, Addy had Mad Monster Mansion as his favorite and Gobi Valley as his least favorite. Yikes. So Parrott, yeah, you had Treasure Trove and then Click Clock. So Ryochi had Bubble Gloop Swamp as his favorite.
Wow.
And then Rusty Bucket was his least favorite.
Yeah, I knew that Rusty Bucket and Clanker were going to be at the bottom.
Yep. And Crevaro had Treasure Trove number 1, just like you, Parrott.
Awesome.
And then he had Rusty Bucket as his least favorite. And like I said, Chad pretty much had my list exactly. He had my same top 3, Freeze Easy, Mad Monster, Gobi. And then he had Rusty Bucket as his least favorite. Let's see. Brandon had Treasure Trove as his favorite. And then Clanker as his least favorite. Moki had Freeze Easy as number 1 and Rusty Bucket as his least favorite. As you can tell, that's a common trend.
Sorry, Connor.
Arsa had Mad Monster as his favorite and then Clanker as his least favorite.
I do have that Northwest hipster instinct of, as I have said, so being the one with the one rare pick, it just makes me feel better about myself, to be honest.
It's fun because the tops had a lot of variety, but the bottoms really did not.
Nope. And like I said, really the only world I get annoyed in is Rusty Bucket, and I do still like a lot of parts of it. It's just my least favorite.
Yeah, I don't think any worlds in this game are awful, in my opinion.
No.
That's why I hold it so high.
All right, well, that will do it for our Banjo-Kazooie discussion. So let us know any more thoughts that you guys have about it. But next will be our just monthly update that we typically do. And then next month we'll see what we're coming up with for some special episodes. We probably will do DK64, and we might even do a visual novel episode, since Parrott and I are going to stop protesting the club and actually participate.
Woo!
And we also, I think, we're going to have a different top 10 this month too. Did you already announce it, Parrott? I don't remember.
Yep, we're going to do top 10 games that we like that most people hate.
Which surprisingly is actually hard for me to put together.
Yeah, it is harder than I thought, because there's a lot of games I know generally people don't like, but their Metacritics are, we try to keep it around 60 to 65, maybe a little higher if we had to. But
yeah, I tried to go below 70, and that was even a challenge for some of them. I'm like, ugh.
I think I only got like 10 below 65.
Yeah, I got my 10. There's some bad ones. I love them though.
It should be a fun one, but so yeah, tell us why you love banjo or why you don't like it, and then we'll block you if you do that. So
Yes, removed.
until next time, sayonara, Mina-san.
Bye bye.
Bye.